according to investigators from the House Subcommittee on Weaponization of the Federal Government, undercover FBI agents infiltrated a Catholic church and even questioned a priest and a choir director, all in a quest to root out potential terrorism. All right? Going to church now would make you a terrorist. Investigators say the FBI, quote, singled out Americans who are pro-life, pro-family, and support the biological basis for sex and gender distinction as potential terrorists, end quote. Joining me now to discuss this and more, Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri, who questioned FBI Director Christopher Wray regarding this earlier today at a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing. He serves on 4 Senate committees, including the Senate Homeland Security Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee. He joins us by phone. Senator Hawley, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we played your clip earlier of part of your exchange with Director Wray. Any resolution, any response, any defense that he gave of the FBI going in undercover into churches?
Well, I think the big thing, Tony, is that number one, it contradicts his earlier testimony that the FBI doesn't do this. He said, "Oh no, we don't go to priests, we don't go to pastors, we don't go to staff members and talk about people who come to church." That turns out to be totally false. In fact, they do those things. The other big thing, Tony, is that he hasn't fired anybody. So on the one hand, he wants to say, "Oh, this was terrible. The FBI shouldn't target churches," and really we don't, and now it's all over with. And when you say, "Okay, what have you done about it? Have you fired the people who did this?" The answer is no. His response to me was, "Well, we put a note admonishing them into their HR file." I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It is a grotesque abuse of the FBI's authority. It is an abuse, I believe, of the First Amendment. And to have the FBI director just shrug it off, first try to deny it, and then shrug it off, tells you a lot about the dangers to religious liberty in this country right now.
So, Senator, what could possibly be the rationale or justification to go in and begin questioning priests and even a choir director?
Well, their rationale is as chilling as their actions. Their rationale is that our churches are breeding grounds for potential domestic terrorists, that our churches are hotbeds of racially and ethnically motivated violence. That's how this thing all got started, is the FBI field office in Virginia wrote up a memo where they said a whole bunch of these quote-unquote traditional Catholic churches are potential breeding grounds for racial and ethnic violence. Now, think about that. I mean, think about that when you go to church this Sunday, that the FBI thinks that if you go to a traditional church, in their words, that you may be a racially or ethnically motivated violent person. I mean, it's just, It is offensive and dangerous from beginning to end, Tony, and that's why we've got to expose it and we've got to stop it.
The House committee uncovered through the whistleblower that the FBI abused its counterterrorism tools to target Catholic Americans. Do we need to reevaluate what tools they have legal access to?
Yes, absolutely we do. We absolutely do. We need to reevaluate a lot that's going on at the FBI, beginning at the very top. Chris Wray should have been fired a long time ago. If he had any decency, he would resign. The fact that he has presided over now the targeting of Christians from various walks of life and various denominations, the unifying principle is if you are pro-life, if you are pro-family, and if you're willing to stand up for it, you may get an FBI SWAT team at your door. You may get an FBI informant in a pew next to you at church. You may have your pastor questioned. This is a pattern now under him at the FBI, and he hasn't done anything about it. He has blessed it, in fact, and he needs to resign for it.
You're absolutely right. He needs to go, but we need a total overhaul of the FBI, the DOJ. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. Great to talk with you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Thanks for having me.